So as um, we discussed yesterday, uh, the only way to completely overcome all the suffering and the cause of all the sufferings and problems, all the delusions, negative emotions, is to overcome the fundamental ignorance, which is the very root of all those delusions. And in order to overcome that fundamental ignorance, then we need to have the wisdom, understanding, and realizing the reality, the ultimate truth, emptiness. And therefore, realizing emptiness is very crucial. Um, Not only to achieve and total freedom, liberation, and nirvana, but also to achieve fully enlightenment together with bodhicitta mind. As one of the great Indian master, Chandrakirti, in his supplemented to engage in middle way, as he said, we need the both wings of like a bird who need both wings to be able to fly. We also need two wings, the wing of wisdom and the wing of method, the bodhicitta mind, compassions, in order to fly over the ocean of samsara towards the shore of fully enlightened state, fully awakened Buddha state, Buddhahood. And so therefore it becomes very important. And again, to understand that, again, we need to understand how this fundamental ignorance is the very root from that fundamental ignorance, how other delusion arises, and due to arising of the delusions, how it disturbs our mind, and how it makes us unhappy, pain, suffering, and not only that, also we due to that, and we engage into due to those negative emotions and delusions, then we engage into more ill will feelings, negative feelings, thoughts, and then we engage into unhealthy, harmful speech and actions, and through that, then we create more karma. Having created more karma, then again we continue to experience more suffering and pain in the future, and endlessly, continuously like that. And so, to cut this non-ending cycle of suffering and samsaric birth, then we need to cut the very root of all these cycles, and that is to overcome the fundamental ignorance. And for that, the wisdom realizing emptiness is the key. So in order to understand that a little better, we discussed yesterday a little bit already, how from that selfish, from that grasping of inherent or truly existing self, where other problems come from. And again, to understand that a little bit better, maybe if we can think that way, maybe it can also help. Another great Indian master scholar. Sorry, the previous one Dharmakirti and this one Chandrakirti. I'm getting confused um, about the two wings. It was Dharmakirti and this Chandrakirti in his Pramana Vatika, his writing, he explained, first there is a sense of independent I or me or self appearance, and then grasping of independent I, me, or self. On the basis of that clinging or grasping independent I and self, on the basis of that, then we have this next level of clinging and grasping independent others, independent me and independent others. And then within that, within the independent others, then we have this feeling among the independent others, then we have independent my friends, independent my enemies. And on the basis of that clinging and grasping independent my friends, then we have attachments towards them. And towards independent friends, on the basis independent enemy, on the basis of that, then we cultivate or develop sense of anger, hatred. And due to that attachment and anger, when we are in state of that mind of anger, hatred, and attachment, our mind is already disturbed. Our mind is not in a peace, calm. Our mind is agitated. So that we are already starting to experience unhappiness. Just when we are in that moment of emotions, we are starting to feel unhappy, disturbed, experience suffering, pain. And then due to that attachment and due to that anger and hatred, then we take certain further steps through our thoughts, speech, and mind, actions. And then, again, we create more negative karma. Then we also create more suffering, more pain to others. And we also create cause and condition for our own future pain. And through that, then it harms us, it harms others, and all problems arises from that. And so that all this problem comes. Where did it come from? From anger and attachments. Where did that anger and attachment come from? That ignorance of grasping independent, starting at fundamental of grasping independent me or self or I. And so so in order to understand the emptiness or the reality, ultimate truth, Buddha has given many teachings, and among all the many teachings, that one of the very short teaching, but which contain the very essence of all the teachings, the very heart of all the teachings, in a very small sutta, in a short, that is Heart Sutta. And so that's why we have been kind of started yesterday. And then it explains how to train ourselves in the Bodhisattva's path, uh, you know, training in the perfection of wisdom, as different stages of the five paths, um, together with supported by the Bodhicitta mind. Um, and so we're at the stages where it explains about how to train um, on the path of um, accumulation and preparation, the first two paths. Um, and within that, he explained about in very contents and more details, and so explaining the very contents, and where it says one should train and one should look and train um, by seeing all the five aggregates or empty of inherent existence or inherent nature. Not only the person or the self is empty of inherent nature or independent nature, but also the five aggregates to train and to see. Also, the five aggregates are also empty of inherent or independent nature, and so that is. And then explain more details with not only the five aggregates are empty of independent nature or inherent nature, but each of them are empty of inherent nature. Not only the five aggregates, but each of those individual five aggregates. So maybe sometimes we might think, oh, the person is not inherently existence, truly existent, independent existence, but as I mentioned yesterday, but the basis for which the persons is imputed, the five aggregates, might be inherently or independent existence. And so he already explained the five aggregates are also not inherently existent, not truly existent, just like the person, not independent existence. And then we might think, even though five aggregates are not independent existence, but individually each of them might be inherent existence, independent existence, inherent existence. And now he is saying not only five, but each of them individually are also empty of inherent, truly independent existence. And so that is where it comes. Start then to prove that. Then he start with the form aggregates. So the form is empty, emptiness, form. Emptiness not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. With that four lines or sentence, he explained about the four profoundness of the emptiness. So again, form is empty. Just as we were mentioning up yesterday, the analysis that I was explaining yesterday from Nagarjuna and Shantideva's, trying to find the persons either within our physical form, body, or within the consciousness mind or five aggregates, and unable to find it, and therefore they are empty of inherent nature. Same way, again, Nagarjuna, as in his precious garland, he says, not only mm, not only person is cannot be found within the six aggregates. Each of six elements. In each of six elements, neither in the collection of the element. So person is neither the each of those um, element, neither the collection of element. Therefore, the person is empty of truly or ultimately or inherently existence. Not only that, each of those elements, each of those six elements, also when you try to find within the each part of those individual element, also you cannot be found. Same way it cannot be found and located within the each part of every part that make individual element. So therefore, each of individual those elements are also empty of um, inherently truly existence. And so similarly, um, here the aggregates. So here is similar. Here each of those aggregates. Mm. Even though when we look at our body or any physical forms, mainly of course reflecting our own body, because here we're talking about um, aggregates, our own aggregates. But that will be same with all the form. Our body, when we don't use critical analysis, investigations on deeper level, on a subtle level, then there is appearance, oh, here's my body. My body is not feeling well today. My body is feeling a little better today. All of that. And it functions that way. Sometimes it affects us in positive way, sometimes it affects us in more unpleasant way. But if you try to analyze actually what is body? What is body? Or more precisely, is my forehead body? Is my brain my body? Is my scalp my body? Is my eye my body? Is my nose my body? Is my mouth? Is my face my body? Is my neck my body? Is my arm my body? Is my hands my body? If my torso, upper part of the body, is that my body? Each of organs inside. My heart is not my body. It's my heart. It's part of my body, but it's not my body. Heart, organs. Similarly with my kidney, with the lung, all of organs inside. Neither my thigh is not my body. My leg is not my body. My feet is not my body. My muscles are not my body. My skin is not my body. My bones are not my body. So where is body? What is body? When we do that kind of critical, deeper analysis, then you cannot really pinpoint and find, say this is the body within the each of those parts. Every part. Again, it is interesting. isn't it? Normally we don't think that way. We just take for granted. There is a when I see this, I see there is my body, and then I just without analyzing, without thinking, oh, it's my body, and I'm feeling, and we just take it for granted. There is a appearance of truly existing, inherently existence, um, independent existing body, and then we just believe that. We just cling and grasp and hold that. But now when you do that analysis, that kind of analysis, then you begin to see, oh, I cannot find my body, which I thought before we think that I can find. Before we analyze critically that way, it feels like that my body is aware that I can kind of so solid, so concrete that I can kind of hold on it. But when you then analyze it deeper, that then you cannot pinpoint the body, the form. And so when you cannot find the pinpoint, then there is no reason to hold so strongly inherently existing my body and get attached to it. There is no object to cling on, to grasp on, and then to get attached to it. And so that is form is empty. The body, the form, when we do that kind of critical analysis with what we call the analysis of ultimate analysis, it cannot, each part of that cannot withstand that ultimate analysis and cannot be found, cannot be located, the so-called body, within each part of the body. Therefore, there is no ultimate body, there is no absolute body, there is no inherent body, there is no truly existing body, there is no independent body. If there is inherently existing body, then body, absolute body, when it is, or ultimate body, when it is done with ultimate analysis, it should be able to withstand that analysis. It should be found with that analysis, but cannot. So that means clearly that is empty of truly inherent existence. Just like certain examples, a more kind of easy example that we can find. For like a, the image of our face, our body in the mirror, okay? There's appearance of our face, our body in the mirror, but it's not actual, it's not real face, it's not real body that appear into that mirror, or the image of the moon in the lake. There is an appearance of moon in the lake, but it is not real moon. It's just an image. It's not the real, true moon. Same thing, dream. In the dream, we dream different things. And whatever is happening in the dream, there is that dream appearance, but it's not really happening. It's not true. of what you dream of is not true in reality. I dream of eating, but I wasn't really eating. I dream of being chased by someone, but I wasn't really being chased that way. It's untrue. Same, some magicians, due to some of trick, he produced something and to us it appears something. But actually it's not really true that what it appeared to us is just a trick. It's not true what appeared to us and what's the reality. So many examples Buddha gave like that. The echo of our sound in a certain situation, when you make sound and then echo comes. Again, to us it seems the sound was coming from there, but it is just a appearance of that. Actually the sound is coming from the person this side and back, and just you hear that. And so again, so many examples the Buddha gave like that of how untrue what appeared to us and what the reality is. And this is the same thing, the appearance of inherently and truly existent to our mind, whether it's the self, whether it's your body, whether it's your feeling, discriminating mind, compositional and consciousness, and all other objects that appear to us as inherently and truly and independently, even though there's appearance of that is not the how thing really exists. Therefore, all of them are untrue, false, from ultimate point of view. So therefore, that is where when it says, form is empty. So then, emptiness form. When we do that kind of ultimate analysis with that critical mind or critical analysis, if it cannot be found, does that mean there's nothing? Does that mean there is no person? Does that mean there is no body? Does that mean there is no table? Does that mean there is no book? Does that mean there is all of that? The question I think you asked yesterday. No, it doesn't mean there is nothing there. It doesn't mean there is no person at all. It doesn't mean there is no form at all. And to understand, maybe we can maybe I might come a little bit later, but maybe first let me explain. So even you cannot be found that way, but at the same time, we cannot deny there is no persons at all. We have our own direct experience that the persons is experiencing suffering sometimes. There is a person who is suffering happiness sometimes. If there is nothingness, if there's nothing, there's no point in practicing. There is no practice. There is no enlightenment. why we practice, why we work hard to achieve that enlightenment when if all of this does not exist at all. So therefore, Buddha and Nagarjuna and all of them doesn't say when they explain about emptiness, they are not saying they do not exist at all. So then how do the person exist? Starting with the persons, of course here is talking about form. And then we can apply same everywhere. So when you try to find within the each of aggregate with that kind of analysis, you cannot find. But at the same time, our direct experience say there is something that exists. So therefore, it is not inherently, truly independent existence. Then how does it exist? It exists. We cannot deny it is existent, but it cannot be found with the aggregates, and therefore it is not independent, inherent, truly. So how does the person exist? Then the person exists merely on level of imputed level by the mind, by the thoughts, on the basis of aggregates. And so then we begin to make some senses when you hear, when you see, and when you hear a lot of statements when you study about emptiness, where they talk about that everything exists by merely imputations, merely designations, merely label. There is the aggregates, my body, my feeling, all of that, and then on the basis of that then is imputing, our mind imputing, this is me or self. But each of them and neither of them is self. But on the basis that we impute just, and so it is just that person exists on the basis of that, just on the merely imputations, merely label. Do you get it? Well, if you get too fast, then you will become too enlightenment too quick. And enlightenment is going to be it's supposed to be long. And if you understand too quickly, then enlightenment comes too quickly. So that is where it says the most difficult part is this fine line for understanding emptiness. Understanding how things are merely, the understanding of, when you analyze that way, it cannot be found. At the same time it exists, and how it exists only on the level of merely imputation, merely designation, merely label. And that is the most difficult part of understanding emptiness, to understand how it is on that level. Lama Sopa Rinpoche used certain phrase and term. He said, it exists but it does not exist. It does not exist but it exists. What he's trying to make is a very fine line of existence and non-existence. It's very, very fine line. And that is the difficult part, understanding, to have that fine line of existence and non-existence. And that is what we call middle way. To find that middle way, we tend to go one extreme or other extreme of our understanding of objects and things. And so, same way, then is form. I was talking about body. The body cannot be found within each of those parts. That makes the body. But then, does that mean the body does not exist at all? No. The body just exists, but only on merely exists by merely imputation, merely label, merely designated. And therefore, emptiness is form, meaning the form does exist. So meaning that form exists, but more on subtle level and different level than the way it appears and the way we hold and with the way we believe. Emptiness form. All another way of putting this would be, while it's empty, while the self, while the body, while all the things are empty, at the same time from that empty there is a display, appearance and display of different things and the functioning of different things. While it is empty, at the same time there is appearance of different objects, the appearance of the person, appearance of the form, appearance of the feelings, all of that. And not only there is appearance of all of that, there is a function of all of that. So emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. While it's empty, there is appearance of all of that, display of all of that, and function of all of that. And that is where it says emptiness form. So that means in that emptiness there is an appearance of form. While form is empty, but it doesn't mean nothingness, because from that emptiness there is appearance of the form and display of the form and function of the form. So to understand this point more, maybe we can talk about, in one of the Sutra, whichever is depending, there is a statement. Whichever is depending on others' factors, whichever object, things, is depending on others' factors, that does not exist. In that object, there's no existence of inherently, and so similarly, many others, Nagarjuna, Uddapalita, and all of them also explain same. So anything that exists by depending on other factors, other conditions, other factors, that means the thing does not exist independently or inherently. If it is independently, inherently existence, then it doesn't depend on any other factors, any other conditions. The very moment something exists on other factor and condition for its existence, that means it's dependent on something, dependent on other factors, other conditions. So therefore it can't be independent. It can't be inherently existence. So, but it is existent because it exists by depending on other factors, other conditions. So the emptiness has to be understood, empty of inherently existing, independent existing. If something exists inherently, it becomes static, cannot change. Always same thing happens. Okay? If our delusions are inherent, that cannot be transformed. If our mind is inherently existing, it is always be the way it is now, cannot be transformed. Then everything becomes non-possible. Therefore, the statement by Nagarjuna, in his fundamental wisdom, fundamental treaty or root wisdom, where he says, because of emptiness, everything is possible. If it's not emptiness, nothing is possible. We think because if we take emptiness in nothingness, then nothing is possible. So here he's saying it's not like that. He's saying because of emptiness, therefore everything becomes possible. If it's not emptiness, nothing will be possible. And so what it means is, because of emptiness, that means everything is dependent arisings. Okay? There's nothing that exists without depending on other factors and conditions. Okay?
Can you repeat?
Without depending on other factors and conditions. There's nothing that exists which does not depend on other factors and conditions. Okay? And so therefore all phenomena, everything is empty of not depending on other factors and conditions. And because they are empty of not depending on other factors and conditions, that means they are dependent on other factors and conditions. And because they are dependent on other factors and conditions, when you change the factors and conditions, then the things change. Therefore, everything is possible. The plant is not growing now, but it can be grow when you change the cause and conditions. If it doesn't depend on other cause and condition, if it's not growing, it will always be like that. If it's already grown, it will always be like that. No matter you change cause and condition, it doesn't affect that. If it doesn't depend on other cause and conditions and other factors. But because it depends on many other factors and cause, conditions, therefore whether it grow or not grow on depend on many cause conditions, by changing those cause and conditions, then we are able to see the changes in the plant, growing, blossoming, getting bigger, producing flowers, producing fruits, and so forth. Or when other factors are changed, cause and condition change, then maybe it dies, doesn't produce anymore, all of that. And same with our mind. Our mind are also dependent on many other cause and condition and factors. And because of that, similar like that plant, when we gather certain cause and conditions, our mind started to become more positive, more clear, more enlightened. Therefore, enlightenment is possible. When certain cause and conditions gather, some of those delusions, all the delusions, some of those negative minds, thoughts, can be reduced, can be overcome. But if they are inherently existent, then it cannot change. They become very static, like permanent. They become static, permanent, because it doesn't depend on other factors. And so therefore that is where when Nagarjuna explained that, everything's samsara, nirvana, everything is empty of inherent existence. Some of others argue, then that means to him, they argue because they understood his concept of emptiness as nothingness. When he said they are not inherently existent, for them, they understood non-inherently existent as same as non-existence. They misunderstood that. And because of that, then they argue, then that means, Four Noble Truths not possible, therefore Nirvana is not possible, therefore why we practice, why we work. And to that, then he answered, because of emptiness, all these are possible. If it wasn't emptiness, all this will not be possible. And with the argument that I just explained. And so because the self and the body or the form is empty of inherently existence, that means the empty of existing, not dependent on other factors and conditions. And because of that emptiness, therefore is dependent on other factors and therefore the person, the form, the body is dependent on other factors and conditions. And because it's dependent on other factors and conditions, therefore the form is possible and form is able to exist and form is able to function. So therefore that is where emptiness form. Because of emptiness, the form is possible. Do you get it? Because of emptiness, person is possible. Because of emptiness, the glass is possible. Because of the emptiness, the book is possible. All of these are possible because of emptiness. If everything are inherently existent, independent existence, without depending on other causes and conditions, without depending on other factors, this book will not be possible. This glass will be not possible. This body will not be possible. this form will not be possible. The self will be not possible. Because all of these objects depend on other condition and factor for it to come in existence and to its function as it is. Are you getting it?
Yes,
Yeah. So therefore, that is where form, emptiness form. Because of emptiness, then form is possible. Emptiness not other than form, and form is also not other than emptiness. Here it is explaining about how these two reality, the ultimate reality and conventional reality. Okay, the emptiness is ultimate reality. The emptiness of form is ultimate reality. The form itself is conventional reality. Okay, in the first, when it's a form is empty, it is explaining the ultimate reality of the form. Okay, the ultimate reality of the form is empty. Empty of what? Inherent existence, truly existent, independent existence. And the next stage, emptiness form, it explains about conventional reality of the form. Because of that emptiness, then this form is possible. And the form, in these cases, the body is possible. And then body function many different ways. You know, the body act as a vessel for our feelings, our mind, the body allow us to do many things, and that so that which has many parts, all different organs, all limbs, and so forth. That is conventional reality of the form or the body. Okay, so these two reality, the ultimate reality and conventional reality, these two are same nature. They are saying it's same nature, and they are not a totally. It is not separate nature, but they are same nature. That is what next verse explaining. Emptiness not form, form is also not other than emptiness not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. Saying those two reality, the ultimate reality and conventional reality, are same nature. They don't contradict each others. Okay? They don't oppose or contradict each others. But they are same real, same nature, same entity, not a separate entity. Both reality can be found within the same object. Okay. Again, as Dharmakirti, not Dharmakirti, Chandrakirti, sorry, I get something confused with this. In Chandrakirti, as he, again in his middle way, he said, in each of all the phenomena, there is two reality, ultimate reality and conventional reality. So both of reality can be found in same object at the same time. So they don't contradict each other.
It's middle way.
Yes, yeah, definitely, that is the middle way. So that is here, that emptiness is not other than form, meaning the ultimate nature, the ultimate reality of the form is not other than the is not other entity or nature than uh, the conventional form itself. And then form is also not other than emptiness. The conventional reality of the form is also not separate entity or nature than the ultimate reality of the form, the emptiness itself. So basically, in this, um, it is explaining. Um, but even though they are same entity, okay, the conventional, the ultimate reality of the form or any other phenomena, they are same entity and same nature. It doesn't mean to say they are same in everything. One is ultimate reality and one conventional reality. Okay. Mm. If they are separate entity, you know, the emptiness of the form cannot be found outside of the form. Okay. The emptiness of form cannot be found or cannot exist without the form. If there's no form, there is no emptiness of form. If there's no glass, there is no emptiness of glass. If there's no book, there is no emptiness of the book. Just as if there is no book, there is no impermanence of the book. Of course, that is more conventional nature, impermanent. But if there is no book, then there is no ever changing nature of the book. In the same way, if there is no book, then there is no ultimate nature of the book, the emptiness of the book. And so, therefore, the emptiness of the book very much depend on the book itself. And you cannot find the emptiness of book outside of the book. And same with the form. And so, therefore, they are same entity. It is a separate entity, and they don't have that connection. Then you can be able to find emptiness outside of, without book. You can find emptiness of book, but it is not the case. So in other way, the emptiness of the form, the entity or nature of the emptiness of form is not other than form itself. In the same way, the entity or nature of the form is also not other than the emptiness of the form. And so, in some commentary, you find that the third verses explain that they are same entity, they don't contradict each others. And the fourth one, they say not only they don't contradict, they go in union. The ultimate reality and conventional reality, they go in union. Sometimes two objects might not contradict each other, but that doesn't always mean they go in union. Do you get it? And so here, not only they don't contradict each other, but they are in union with each. The union of the true truth, the ultimate and the conventional truth. Without the without the ultimate reality of the form, the form is not possible. We just spoke about that. Yeah. Without the ultimate reality of the form is not possible. Without the form, the ultimate reality of form is not possible. The emptiness of form is not possible. So they mutually depend on each other. Mm. And so we apply that, the four, what we call the four um, profoundness of emptiness to all other objects, the all other aggregates and all other objects. And so then next, in the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factor, and consciousness are empty. So we apply something. Feeling is empty. Emptiness is feeling. Emptiness not other than feeling. And feeling is not other than emptiness. So we apply same concept, same for profoundness. The same thing. Discriminating. Discrimination is empty. Emptiness is discrimination. Emptiness not other than discrimination. Discrimination is also not other than emptiness. Compositional factor, same thing. Compositional factor is empty. Emptiness is compositional factors. Emptiness not other than compositional factor. Compositional factor is also not other than emptiness. And consciousness is empty. And emptiness is consciousness. And emptiness not other than consciousness, and consciousness also not other than emptiness. So we apply that, all of that, in all five aggregates and all other phenomena. So trying to understand that the way we apply to the form body, we also apply to all phenomena, to see the two truths or two reality of all phenomena as not contradicting, and as same entity, same nature, and same in going in union with that. So yeah. Then next one, where it starts with Shariputra, likewise all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristics, unproduced, unsaid, standless, not without stand, not division, not fulfillment. With that, it explains the path of seeing. Okay, how to. So up to here, it explains how to train in the professional wisdom on the path of accumulation and path of preparations. And now, how to train in the professional wisdom on the path of seeing. Okay, in terms of the path, in terms of that. And in that, then here, um, and also here, sometime again, there are eight, like, the eight, it is sometimes it known as um, the eight profoundness. So here, Shariputra likewise all phenomena are emptiness. And so just as he has explained, the form, feeling, discrimination, mental factor, all of that are empty. In same way, all phenomena are emptiness. All phenomena, when we don't analyze with critical mind on deeper level, then everything functions, all those phenomena functions. There is appearance of all those phenomena, display of all those phenomena, functioning of all those phenomena. But when we try to analyze with ultimate analysis with that critical mind, what is that phenomena itself? Then again, each of those phenomena cannot be found within each of the parts that make that phenomena. And therefore, they are not ultimately existence, absolutely existence. If something is absolutely existent, something ultimately existent, then you have to be found within the basis. That is what it means, ultimately existence, absolutely existence. If it cannot be found, then it is clear that it's not absolutely existence. It means it's relative. Something exists by depending on others in relation to something. Do you get it? If something is absolute, it doesn't have to depend on others. It doesn't have to exist by in relation with others. It doesn't have to depend on others by itself. But nothing exists by itself without depending on others. So with all this, the concept of relativity is already discussed by Buddha more than 2,600 years ago in Nagarjuna and all of that. There's no any matters or non-matter, any objects, any phenomena that can exist independently, that can exist ultimately, absolutely, without depending on others. So therefore, all phenomena are emptiness. Without characteristic. even though the phenomena has their own particular characteristic and functioning. Okay, the body has its own characteristic, its own functionings. The form, the feeling has its own characteristic, its own functioning. The discriminations has its own characteristics, its own functionings. Same with compositional factors. Same with consciousness. Same with all others. You know, it has its own characteristic on many different levels. More gross level of characteristic, more subtle level of characteristic. The body, form has characteristic of shape, colors, size, all of that. Feeling has characteristic of to be able to experience pleasantness, unpleasantness, all of that neutral state. And so like that, all things have their own characteristic and their own functioning, their own uniqueness. But then if you try to find each of those, so there is that when we don't, it functions that way, but then again, if we, with the ultimate analysis, with that critical mind, with that critical analysis, if you try to find each of those characteristics, what is that characteristics within each of those objects, again, we cannot find it. What is shape? What is color? So if you try to find within the form, form is made of shape, color is that characteristic of that size. But what is that size? Let's say in size big or small. What is big? What is small? And if you try to find within that particular, within that matter, is part of that, is that the small? Let's say this is a big, and that size of big is this big, is this big. If you do analysis that, or the color and the shape and all of that, you cannot find that here. The characteristic. Therefore, without characteristic, that characteristic cannot be found within the object when analyzed critically by ultimate analysis. And same thing, unproduced, the conditioned phenomena. When you don't analyze with ultimate analysis in critical, with that critical mind, then of course depending on cause and conditions, in terms of a plant, due to the seed, due to the water, due to the fertilizers, due to the light, heat, due to whether it's person who is kind of planting, or whether it's a bird dropping the seed, or maybe a seed falling from the trees, whatever, or due to all these cause and conditions, then it started to be produced. It started to produce plant, flowers, and in some cases, fruits, certain plants, and all of that. But then, we try to analyze with that kind of ultimate analysis, with critical mind, what is that which is produced. If you take all those parts conditions and factors that make it something produced. And if you try to find so-called being produced within each of that, then you cannot pinpoint, you cannot find it with that kind of ultimate analysis, with that kind of critical mind or analysis. Therefore, unproduced. Therefore, unproduced. It is similar, like it's same. It's similar, same like finding in now modern quantum physics. When they analyze, and then they cannot find the matter. When they go deeper and deeper, go to the smaller and smaller particle and smaller and smaller particle, they cannot find it. But at the same time, all these particles coming together, it produces certain functioning, certain result. Do you get it? What I mean? Certain result, certain functioning, certain all of that. But if they analyze with that kind of whatever machine or whatever, where they can analyze and go more smaller particles, smaller and smaller to find that, then at the end they cannot find anything there. So here maybe they are using some kind of technologies to do that, but in meditation you use that critical analysis. The result is same, not being able to find, not being finding. And both, whether the scientists who do those experiment or practitioner who have used such a critical analysis in the past in their meditation or practice contemplations, they both will say you cannot find, but at the same time they would not deny the existence of something there and functioning of that. Do you get? So that is when was that? Unproduced, unceased. So if something is not being produced, then that thing cannot remain and at the end cease. Do you get it? When we talk about something being ceased, we talk about something which has been produced. Therefore it ceases. If nothing has been produced, then you can't talk about being ceased. Something produced, according to different Buddhist philosophies, slightly different. In some of the philosophy tenets, first things are being produced, then in the middle things are maintained, remain, abide, and at the end it ceases. In some of the philosophy high training, then they say the moment it is produced, that very moment it has started ceasing. It has started kind of decaying or ceasing. That very moment it has started. So therefore for them, they don't see that first there is produced and then remaining or abiding and ceasing. The moment it is being produced, that moment ceasing has already started. So but whatever that thoughts of thinking you can see, but both of them, if there is no being produced, then we can talk of being ceased. So since there is not produced, when you analyze it that way, so therefore it cannot be ceased, therefore unceased. Okay? But also we can do same analysis like we did with the with the produce. Ceasing, decaying, dying, whatever, disintegrating of phenomena or especially of conditioned phenomena. When we don't use that ultimate analysis with that critical analysis mind, then again there is a concept of decaying, disintegrating, ceasing. But again, if you try to find within the object that is disintegrating, that is ceasing, that is dying, within that object, what is that which is disintegrating? Within each part of that, is this the one which is integrate, ceasing, but again, same process. Then if you do same, again, you can find within each of that. So therefore, unceased. So all conditioned phenomena are unproduced, unceased. Stainless. When we don't use that kind of analytical analysis, there is stain, the delusion, there is delusions. Delusion are the stain, internal stain. Okay? Delusion are the pollutions, internal pollutions, dirt, stain. And due to that internal stain, then we take rebirth in samsara. There is samsara. And due to samsara, there is sufferings. So the stain, the delusions, samsara, there. But again, when we try to analyze with same kind of analysis, what is samsara? What is delusions? What is stain? Within each of those, even in terms of, let's say, if we talk about delusion itself, the delusional mind, let's say of anger. What is anger? That the mind, again, has many aspects or characteristic of that mind. There is continuity of the mind. There is the characteristic of that the object to reflect on the subjects. There is a characteristic of the subject able to grasp the objects, and there is some nature of clarity because of the mind, and there is a nature of all of that continuity. Which is that anger? Is the within that characteristic nature, is the ability to reflect the object on that mind? Is that the anger? Or the part which is able to hold and grasp the objects, is that the anger? Or there is some clarity in that and awareness, is that the anger? Or is the moment the anger? And even with that moment we talk about yesterday, when there's so many moments, which moment is that? And when you do that kind of same analysis, then so-called delusion, so-called stain, again, cannot be found. When with that kind of analysis, therefore stainless. Not without strain. When our mind becomes free from all the delusions, and when we achieve nirvana, that is a state without stain. Yeah, do you get it? When our mind are free from all the delusions, then our mind is free from, it is a state which is free from all the stain or dirt of the delusions. So it is state without stain, because there is no more delusion, no more stain of delusion, or dirt of the delusions when you achieve nirvana. But again, if we do same kind of analysis with same critical mind, with same critical analysis with that one, again, what is nirvana? What is that state? With each of that, again, that is part, is factors that make that state, then again, we cannot find with any of those part, any of those factors, the so-called stainless state. Therefore, not without stain. So what it explains is, in a way, in these cases, here is saying, even the samsara and nirvana cannot be found when we do that with that kind of analysis, that kind of critical analysis. Even the samsara and nirvana of emptiness, even the samsara and nirvana cannot exist absolutely, ultimately, independently, inherently. No divisions. So here is talking about the path. Even though, when we practice, through practice, as we develop on our path, then the delusions can be reduced. Negative karma or contaminated karma, and the delusion can be minimized, reduced, overcome. It can be divisions, reduced, minimized. But again, with that kind of critical analysis, if we analyze what is division, what is reduced, this the reduce itself, what is reduced? And that same analysis within the mind, then again you cannot find within any part of factors or characteristic or nature, each of those which make it reduce or deficient, and so therefore no deficiency, not fulfilled. Even though through practicing and meditation we can develop and fulfill and achieve realizations, loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind, wisdom, and all path of accumulation, seeing, meditation, normal, all of that. But if you analyze this again with that same critical mind, with same critical analysis, what is that achievement that you have achieved? What is that fulfillment? What is that is being achieved, cultivated? Again, within each part of that, again, you cannot find within each part of that makes that. With that kind of critical analysis, therefore not fulfilled. So another way of putting this whole thing is, On conventional level, on relative level, all phenomena exist. And all phenomena have that characteristic. All conditioned phenomena are being produced and ceased on relative level, on conventional level. On relative level, conventional level, there is a samsara, there is a delusions. Due to the samsara, due to the delusions, we suffer. People or sentient beings suffer. And when practitioners or sentient beings apply antidotes through their practices, when they apply their method, the antidote through their practices, they can achieve, stainless state of nirvana, peaceful state, without any stain, without any delusion, without any suffering. That state they can achieve. On relative conventional level, by applying the antidotes, delusion can be reduced, negative mind can be reduced, deficiency, and positive mind can be achieved, cultivated, and developed and fulfilled. But on ultimate level, in emptiness, on ultimate level, on emptiness, all is emptiness. There is no, on ultimate level, in emptiness, there is no characteristics. There is no produce, unceased, not stain, not without stain, not deficient, and not fulfilled. Yeah? So, I think maybe we might explode. Maybe it's like putting too many, nuclear energy. Too many going, maybe it might explode. So we'll stop here at the moment. This morning I had the thought to do some meditation, but I didn't with the time. But I will do in the next sessions. So, any questions so far from this morning? Yes, please.
I understood that at conventional level, we go from suffering of samsara through the path of accumulation and learning to nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
This is we can achieve, and then to liberate, to get the liberation, to get enlightenment. It's to realize this emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, in the beginning, or it's not beginning, is not correct, but from the ultimate level, who disturbed this primordial wisdom of us, the wisdom of enlightenment, the Prajna Paramita, to go to, who can disturb this, to go to see the duality, to see the nirvana, and then to go at the more external level, to have this duality of good and bad and so on, this vision of object and subject and so on. How is possible from this emptiness, this wisdom, to go? We know now the landing,
mm-hmm.
But what happened? Why we are now here? from the wisdom, what happened, the opposite of learning, something like this.
Due to ignorance, due to not.
What happened? Because my ultimate level is wisdom. How is possible to come here to see
On ultimate level, they are empty, but we don't have that wisdom relies on that emptiness. That was the problem. It's not like we already had wisdom relies on emptiness and still we are suffering like that.
Oh, okay.
The nature of self, nature of my body, my mind, my feelings, nature of all phenomena are empty. But we need to develop wisdom, realizing on, but we have not developed that wisdom, realizing emptiness. Therefore, we are still under the control of ignorance and the delusions, and therefore that is why we are in samsara. And through studying, learning, understanding what emptiness is, or ultimate truth of things, and then reflecting, contemplating, meditating again and again, and then we have realization of that. And then we have wisdom that realizes emptiness. Once you have wisdom that realizes emptiness, that wisdom will start to act as an antidote towards the ignorance. The ignorance become more and more weak. And as our ignorance become more and more weak, and we continue to practice the meditation of wisdom and others, the wisdom started to become more stronger and stronger, more bigger and bigger. The ignorance started becoming more smaller, more weaker and weaker. And then when it becomes weak, it cannot produce so much delusions. It is not able to produce so many delusions which come from the ignorance, and less delusions, and then we go more closer on our path, or higher on the path. So it is not we already have all this wisdom. It's not like that.
But I who? Why am I? Why exist I separated from
Separated.
separate? Who is the I who see this?
Who is I?
Yes. Which
Who are you? I don't know. You give me.
I'm interdependent. I'm everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
And so I didn't got your exact questions on that. The last one. What question?
the last is I cannot understand because I am not I who. The form is not, the feelings are not. So who is seeing this? Who is
Merely
separate?
level Thubten Sheldon or Alexandra, what merely label Alexandra.
Eticheta. É o eticheta.
Etichetat, merely. Merely.
Eticheta.
Merely, only.
Doar eticheta.
So what it means is the things are not existing objectively from its own side. Okay? Maybe we might talk a little bit later. But imputed by our subject mind. The subject mind. Yes.
First of all, I want to understand better. So, in this sutra, all that it talks, it's about interdependency.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I want to ask.
Well, yeah, or maybe I will tell. Emptiness means interdependent.
Yes.
Interdependence means emptiness.
Exactly.
But still, maybe I will talk a little bit more. But still, the focus is on emptiness, what it does not exist because of our clinging and grasping. So anyway, maybe I will talk later, but yeah, then because maybe it will be too long. So then your question was,
Okay, there is something that it isn't interdependent,
there is nothing.
like
Uh-huh.
like a Buddha,
Uh-huh.
like illumination. Illumination, it's interdependent. It's illumination by itself, or it's a a Buddha can exist without samsara, outside the samsara. So he is not interdependent.
No, Buddha is also interdependent. There's nothing which is not
Nothing.
interdependent. Nothing.
Nothing. Even Buddhas.
Even Buddha. How did Buddha become Buddha? He wasn't Buddha from the very beginning. That is why there is no inherent existent Buddha. Buddha wasn't Buddha from the very beginning. Buddha was like us, with the delusions, in samsara,
But it,
through practices. Then he became a Buddha. So Buddha, to become a Buddha, is dependent on many other causes and conditions.
but in text they say that a sparkle from Buddha comes Buddha Shakyamuni. A sparkle from Buddha. So she was Buddha.
Yes, the Buddha can manifest.
Yes.
Buddha can manifest from Buddha Shakyamuni. Many manifestation can come, which is a Buddha.
Yes.
Manifested in Buddha is Buddha. But still, Buddha was not kind of permanent. Buddha became Buddha by depending on other objects, by overcoming the delusions.
I don't know. Maybe he do this to show us, but he was already Buddha because he was a sparkle from
No.
No.
In this, like Buddha Shakyamuni coming in this world, according to the Mahayana, there is a different version between the Mahayana and Theravada. In the Theravada versions, he was a bodhisattva when he came to this world. He was in 10 bhumi, bodhisattvas. It is his final journey to enlightenment. And then he achieved enlightenment in Bodh Gaya. So that was his final, last step. And then he became enlightened in this life. But he was, when he first came to the world, he was a bodhisattva, 10 bhumi bodhisattvas. According to Mahayana, he was already Buddha before that. He was in Tushita. And then he was waiting for the right time. And then he saw this is the right time to come in this world and to teach and to help. And so he came to the world. So he was already enlightened. But even in Mahayana, before that, he was not a Buddha. When he came to this world, he was already Buddha. But before that, he was not Buddha. Much more earlier, he was Bodhisattvas. Much more earlier than that, he was not even Bodhisattvas. Just like ourselves. And that is where the Buddha said, he said, I was just like yourself. And I become Buddha by realizing the emptiness and bodhicitta and all other practices. And so he went through all this practice himself, and he's showing us how to practice like the way and to reach where he reached. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in Buddhism, there is no Buddha who is already Buddha from the very beginning. They were all like us, sentient beings at one time.
But it is a beginning
From the beginning of,
mind.
there is no beginning of the mind.
There was in the beginning like us. What means this?
Well, when we say there is in the beginning, when it is saying that, it says they were not enlightened from the. They were not enlightened to start with. They were unenlightened, just like ourselves. And then they practice, they apply, and then they become enlightened.
I have a strange question. Who was the first who attained Buddhahood?
Maybe it must be me.
No. I just want to see if there is if they all come here like us.
Uh-huh.
So there was not Buddhahood. What to attain if there is us? Like something like, you know what I say? I don't know if I. So I come here. I don't know. That's it. Buddhahood. I don't know. So I don't know what to reach. So there is not. Like Buddha Shakyamuni, he was like me, in the beginning.
Yeah.
And if she didn't know about this Buddhahood, how can you obtain if you don't know?
Well,
all the Buddhas were like us. All the Buddhas.
Yeah.
So the Buddhas, I think, they formed the Buddhahood. But if there is no Buddha, there is no Buddhahood. In the beginning, there is no Buddha. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Theoretically, if you said there was a time when nobody has achieved enlightenment, and then the first who achieved enlightenment.
Yes.
Sometime we learn ourselves with our experience. We learn a lot of things in this life about so many experiences. Just like many of the scientists discover new things, not being discovered before. Sometimes they discover by accident. Sometimes they discover with constant research, constant move. Someone has done some research, not completed, and then someone comes later. They study, and then they continue to do their own research, and then finally they find something. Same thing maybe at the very beginning, that it was like that. They discover little by little, somewhat little. I discover something. I discover someone discover, oh, this anger can be overcome. Maybe because they apply some compassion, something like that, and they say, oh, I use this technique and now it's getting less. And then he shared that with others. And then someone comes and develop more than that. And develop more. That is like even in general education, that is how it is. All different studies that we do, someone has done some study in the past, and then other generation continue to study more, and we learn more and more and more and more. It's not like all the information was there and then they were just passing and we were just getting information. While we are learning and getting information which they have already collected and which they already have experienced, but at the same time we are learning new things, experiencing new things, and that is how we grow. And so that could be possible, that is possible. If this is possible in other area, that could be also possible in that area too, on the path too.
And another one now. Sorry, I have many questions. I want to understand better.
Yeah.
If I do this, my hand hurts. Why?
Why? You ask.
You know why I ask? Because this isn't hand. This isn't pain. If I look the pain, I can find it. But I do like this. No?
Yeah.
What is this? Because it isn't pain.
Because
I can go through all. It isn't pain, no? I can't point the pain.
Uh-huh.
Where is pain? There is no pain. Then I go, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Maybe you can try and we can see. You try and we can observe and see whether you have pain or not. You want to try? I want to see.
it was just an example to understand better what is happening.
That is where conventional reality comes. That is why we need both conventional reality, the true truth. If we just talk about ultimate reality, that is what you are talking about, ultimate reality. It cannot be found. But on conventional reality, there is pain and you experience.
So if I go to ultimate reality, I can go to worse.
If you really understand the ultimate reality to pain, then you will not be, you still have pain, but you will not be clinging and grasping to pain.
So I experience the pain, but I can't feel it.
You can't, you don't
I feel, but I don't
cling and
grasp.
grabs.
Uh-huh.
And then slowly you will,
Go through all.
then maybe you will be, when you become a Buddha, then you can go without feeling the pain.
Okay, because form is emptiness, emptiness is form, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no.
When you become enlightenment, then you don't have to worry. Even you hit here, no pain, and you don't need to hit also.
Oh, okay.
But at the moment, yes, that is why emptiness form. Why did Buddha say emptiness form? He can just say form is emptiness and stop there. If we don't have, we cannot find the pain. But if we don't experience the pain, even we cannot find. But if we don't experience the pain, he will not say emptiness form. So he didn't just say pain is empty. He didn't just say pain is empty because the pain cannot be found. But he says emptiness is also pain. And so saying you will experience pain if you don't take care of it. So because there is pain, even though on ultimate level you cannot find it, but on conventional level there is pain, and then you will experience it.
So illumination is emptiness, and emptiness is illumination.
Yeah, but that is true with everything. Buddha is empty, emptiness is Buddha.
So from emptiness come all.
Yeah.
And emptiness, can we explain emptiness in some other methods? I don't know, some without the form, without the state.
What does that mean?
What is what in this?
Okay, thank you very much.
So we'll have a break, lunch break. Yeah.
Open mandala.